What up, Copper family? Hope you're doing well today. Well, sorry that we're a little bit late. We're having some technical difficulties with our cameras. But hey, my son, he's in Paraguay, wants to say hi to everyone. So,
what's going on, man?
Can you hear him?
I can barely hear you.
Oh, you can barely hear me? Is that too loud? Anyway, buddy, love you, Kay. I would say bye. All right. This has been a little fiasco today. I'm not going to lie. So can you hear me now? Can you hear me a little bit better?
I honestly think it's something on my end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everyone, can you give us a thumbs up if you guys can hear us before we get started? Is it broken? Wouldn't be a stream without. So anyway, let's say I'm just waiting for thumbs up for people. You know, it usually takes a few seconds. Woohoo. Okay, we're good. Everyone says all good. All right, Vinny. Seriously, you and I. So unfortunately, because it is Father's Day, it's a wonderful day. You know, I totally spaced it scheduling this, but I wasn't going to miss this for a second when you decided you would like to be on. But Logan just texted me about 10 minutes ago saying he wasn't going to be able to make it, so I didn't want him to get in trouble with the wife or the family. So. But yeah, how you been, man?
Good, man. Good. It's been a while. We don't talk as much as we should.
No, I don't talk to hardly anyone anymore. It's just
that's okay. I'm the same way.
I'm trying to make priorities to be with my family, and because I'm always doing this. So, but how's the family? How's the wife?
Everybody's good, man. Good. The kids are healthy. Wife's good. I mean, life is good, brother.
I'm glad.
I have no complaints over here. You know.
I want to turn this up just a little bit more. There we go. You gotta. I had to have some pop-up music for Vinny when he's here. You know what I mean? But yeah. But so before we get started, just let everyone know this is normally Logan and myself. We have a podcast called Dad, Bods, and Beards. We like to do a live version of it once a month, and basically it's a show that we like to talk about all things for men, from being a husband and a father to the importance of mental health, social health, grooming, and a major portion of that is our physical health. I think that's important too. A lot of us will focus on one certain aspect of our lives, and I think we need to be circular and work on everything, and not skip out on our eating habits, our physical habits, and instead of just sitting there. Because most of us have sedentary jobs, we're just sitting there and we're not doing a lot. And so I think it's important that, we get up and move and all that kind of stuff. So I really wanted you on to just have everyone pick your brain and me to pick your brain and just talk about everything when it comes to health, because what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
So just so you guys know, right now we have a sale going on. As you can see it scrolling on the bottom, Dad 25. They'll save you 25% off. And if you spend over $50 after shipping or before shipping, you'll get a free oil with that. And that oil is just whatever we decide to pick out of the inventory. So
it's Copper John. Anyway, you can't go wrong.
Right. I appreciate it, man. Today I'm wearing 1903 oil and Ghost Falls butter. It's random. I just grabbed two things. So, and then if
how they working together?
The name, it smells pretty good. It's pretty decent. It's I don't know. It's more of it's like an outdoorsy scent. It's really good. But I want to give everyone a shout out to everyone who's a part of the membership, the Copper Johns family, and you should have received a $10 gift card today or this week. And that will go to anything. I mean, I think a couple guys just got a bar of soap for free. So just whatever you want to use it with, it's all yours. So if you ever want to be a part of the membership, just join right there and all that fun stuff. But well, why don't we get started? Because we did start late. We had all these people join, so I really appreciate you guys all coming. We got Ken, we got Casey, we got Mark, we got Jason, we got Walter, we got another Scott. Scott, I will be your minister if you want me to. Jeff, how you doing, Jeff? JP, Nano, Ryan, Nicholas, Walter, Big Stu, Joshua, Corey. Hey, Corey, I don't think I've ever seen you here, man. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us today. Bearded Vato, Garrett, Chris. Hey, appreciate you guys all being on today. And if I miss you, Ellie, or anyone else, just please let me know. Mr. Official Ken. Thanks, guys. All right, so here's how it's going to work, guys. I have a few questions for Vinny. We're going to have some dialogue and conversation and just see where it goes. But if you guys have any questions for Vinny, please just shoot them out. I will star them. And when they become pertinent to that specific time, we'll go ahead and ask that question. But I promise you, I'll try hard not to miss it. And if for some odd reason I do, please just ask it again. Vinny is a great dude. He reached out to me after a stream when I mentioned struggling to find supplements that jive with heart meds. Mr. Big Stu himself. Yeah, Vinny has a big heart, though. Pun intended. All right.
Rebuilt.
It's true.
Rebuilt, so I understand where he's coming from.
All right, so I do have a lot of new subscribers, and also I'm going to have a lot of people who watch this after the fact. So why don't you introduce yourself, your credentials, and why would anyone want to listen to you when it comes to supplements, working out, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm Vinny P. Why anybody would want to listen to me, I really don't know. I pick things up and I put them down, but no, I've been around this a long time, man, a long time. I'm almost 40, and I've been around this since my early 20s. And I've seen all the fads and all the things that have come and gone, and I've tried probably everything just to see what works, what doesn't. I've gone over, ridiculous amounts of studies and literature, and been around it from everything from powerlifting to strongman to bodybuilding to just the average guy who wants to, go to the beach and look good. So, right. I've been around the block a little bit.
Dude, and by the way, Vinny's one of the, I absolutely love Vinny. Extremely blessed that he's here, guys. So, as you know, Vinny, I've started 75 hard. I'm on I just think I completed day 40, day 41, 42-ish. I've lost almost 30 pounds. You can't tell because I was so big. My power, holy crap, my power took forever, I felt like, to come back. But about day 30, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, there you are. It took a minute. And then I started stopped losing weight, and I started gaining weight again. I'm like, okay, I understand why I'm doing it, but it sucks. Because it's a
so I don't know all the parameters of 75 hard. I know I did hear you and Logan talking about it, and I know it's a big thing for getting you accountable and all that kind of stuff. I don't really know how the programming works or anything like that. If there's diet involved or specific, I know there's specific exercise layout.
Yeah,
but outside of that, when it comes to gaining weight and losing weight, I mean, you went through something really simple
I'm
answer.
Not doing a diet, even though I guess it is a diet, but you get to choose what you want to do on 75 hard. You get to choose the workout regimen. Basically I do a 45-minute walk outside with my wife, with the dog, all that kind of stuff. And then I do 45 minutes, but it's always longer than 45 minutes in the gym. So basically, they're asking you to choose 45, drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a book, a nonfiction book, and then take a picture of yourself every day. And then the diet. Now, the diet is the one that, anyone can choose what they are. So me, for instance, I was eating out a little too much. And I love candy, so I cut out candy and I don't eat out. And I'm not eating junk food, so if I see chips in the house and stuff like that, I'm not going to eat chips or anything like that. But other than that, I mean, if I have a hamburger at home grilled, I'm going to have a bun. I'm not getting rid of that kind of stuff. And so I definitely have lost weight from it because I'm not eating out.
Right.
And right here, I drank my gallon of water today, so I'm drinking Zevia.
Gotcha.
Because I love my Coke Zero. Don't judge me. And so I'm drinking.
Yeah, I mean, so that's it. It sounds like it's something that's really good as far as, like I said, kind of teaching you how to deal with discipline, right? Because when it comes down to it, your discipline, your consistency, that's a huge part of anything you want to do. Whether it's get stronger, lose weight, gain weight, whether you're building muscle or even if you're just an athlete who's trying to get better at whatever sport you're doing, right? I mean, practice is consistency. So it definitely sounds good from that aspect. I don't know how I feel about that whole pick your own diet thing because most people can't handle that. Let's just be honest. That's why the majority of the country is overweight, right? Um, but I think one of people's biggest problems is they overcomplicate everything. Everybody
Yeah.
overcomplicates everything. So I think one of the things I've seen the most, being around this stuff for so long is it's things like social media, especially. Oh my goodness, it is such a terrible thing. As good as it can be for the people who are positive and motivation and some of the information that is out there that's phenomenal. There is such trash information out there from people who just want to sell something, and you have all these different sources of info, and people just get confused, and then they think, oh well, if I just watch what I'm eating, I can, and they don't think about all the little things they do. This little chips here, or this little bite here, swig there, or whatever else.
It adds up.
It really, it does. And it comes down, it is really a very basic thing. Unless you're like an advanced athlete or, somebody who's a bodybuilder and you're really strict on your macros and all that stuff like that. It really comes down to calories in versus calories out. If you're eating 3,000 calories a day and you are putting on weight and you come down to 2,500 calories and you are maintaining, you come down to 2,000 calories and now you're losing. It's really that simple.
So my son is 15. He's going to be a sophomore this year. And the one thing that him and his friends always talk about is like, oh, you need to work out your forearms. So you need to forearm things. And it's like, you need to do this and this. I'm like, buddy, it's like, if you just do a regular basic pull-up, you're going to be working your forearms. If you're going to be doing any of this, you're going to be working. It's like, there's so much crap that's out there. I totally agree with you. Even when it comes to workout, he's like, oh, Dad, but they're using bucked up, man. They got to use 300 grams of this. I'm like, buddy, you will have a heart attack if you have 300 milligrams at your age with your size.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
yeah. Well, so the typical like bro thing, right, is the arms, right? Everybody wants the big arms. But what most people, again, don't seem to realize is let's just say like this whole bicep and forearm craze and all that other stuff. Train heavy back.
yeah.
Train heavy back, you're going to get big arms. You're going to get big forearms.
Dude,
you really want big arms?
If your biceps are not freaking on fire by the time you're done with back, something's wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a secondary muscle, right? So, and if you really want big arms, you really want a massive arm, train more triceps. Triceps are, I mean, it's 2/3 of the arm. So, if you have these massive biceps and little triceps, you're not going to look that good. So, but they just kind of overlook that. And even with triceps, you don't really need to get insane with, isolated tricep movements. A lot of pressing and stuff, depending on what you're doing, right? If you're a bodybuilder, it's a whole different ballgame. But if you're the average Joe, you don't have to get crazy. You really don't.
No.
Especially if you're new. If you're new to the whole thing, oh man, your first year, if you really get after it, you'll never experience another year like that first year.
No, I remember the first year I just blew up. Like I didn't know I could get all of a sudden I'm like, everyone's like, dude, what gear are you on? What are you taking? I'm like, this is the first time I've worked out in like 5 years.
Mm-hmm. That first year is crazy. I mean, you hear people talk about losing fat and building muscle. Well, that's not really a thing. Once you get past that first year, it is to some degree, but you're not going to build a whole lot of lean tissue without putting fat on it. It's pretty much almost impossible. If you're already a really lean guy, you're, like I said, now we're talking about athletes, right? We're not talking about Johnny down the street who goes to the gym 4 days a week. It's not going to be a thing for you. That's why they have phases. That's why they have off season, on season, there's a reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bodybuilding isn't consistent. What you see in the magazines, what you see on stage is half a day. They got it right down to the hey, don't this much water intake, this much carbs. I've seen guys backstage eating Skittles right before they get on, and then they hurry and do a couple of bicep moves and stuff like that with dumbbells, and then they hurry and pop on, and then they look huge and swollen because they have all that sugar and carbs that they have taken away from themselves for months.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people don't understand that.
I mean,
that's not attainable.
It's the same thing with powerlifting. I mean, these guys go into a meet, and it depending on how they're doing it. If they have to cut, they're doing it right up to the wire. And then after they weigh in, they're putting 20 pounds back on before they go out there and hit their lifts. Or strongman. Strongman's on a thing where they have to weigh in. So You see these guys at their contests, and they're the biggest they are all year long. You know, they're eating for power. They're not worried about having a belly or whatever else. Then you see them around, you know, their regular training schedule, and they might be 30, 40 pounds lighter. You know, it's just there's different ways of going about it depending on what you're doing. But I really think for the majority of the people out there, they just, like I said, they just overcomplicate it.
Have you seen the video with Phil Heath and Brian Shaw when they go to breakfast?
I have not.
Dude, just Google it or YouTube it. It is hilarious.
I'll have to check that out.
Just like eating, like, you know, a little bit of avocado and a little bit of this, and he's just like pancake after pancake, just stacks of everything. I'm like, yep, that's about right.
Yeah, Brian's a big man. I mean, that dude is 6'8", is over 400 pounds. You know, that's a very large individual. Huh?
Did he retire?
His last show will be the Shaw Classic in August, and after that, he's done.
I heard that, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yep. I think he's 40 or 41.
Yeah.
That'll be his last one.
So, okay, so here's the thing. So I personally have done bodybuilding, I've done powerlifting, and I don't know how to eat like a normal person. Really, I'm dead serious. So I know how to do the bodybuilding. I know how to get down to what I need to, but it's not sustainable. I know how to do the powerlifting diet, and that's where I am right now. Like, this is how I got to be, you know, my weight. And so how would you recommend, how does one find the macros that are pertinent to what they need? So for instance, you know, like I'm 319, and, you know, but I'm crazy strong right now, but I still have a lot of chunk on me. I could lose probably 70 pounds and be totally fine. I wouldn't be able to lift what I'm lifting, but that's okay. So how do I find what I need to work or macros I need to do in order for me to lose, but also try to maintain what I have muscle wise?
Well, so to try and maintain, right, that's why you want to worry about your protein intake, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you drop your protein intake too low, you're going to start stripping lean mass. I mean, chances are you're probably going to strip a little lean mass anyways. But so think of it as protein and a carb are both 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9, right? So if you went, let's say somebody like myself, I'm 250 pounds. So if I went 1 to 1 to 1, I'm looking at, you know, 1,000 calories per fat and protein, and then take whatever your calorie intake is. So it's 1,000 calories for each of those other macros. Divide that by 9 for 9 grams per. I'm sorry. 9 calories per gram, and you're going to be like right over 110. Right. So that's going 1 to 1 to 1. Now, somebody like myself versus, you know, somebody average Joe who doesn't train like I do, that might be a little excessive. Right. So I would, if it were me, that's where we want to figure out the individual. If you want to keep it real simple, just up your protein a little bit and then back down your fats and your carbs a little bit. The biggest thing is calorie intake. Right. Everybody wants to worry about macro. But if you're not training for anything specific, you don't need to get crazy on your macros. I would honestly tell an average individual who doesn't want to put too much thought into it, hit your protein intake, drop the rest under, figure out where your calorie intake is at, right? So if you're 250 pounds, you want to lose weight. And at, like I said earlier, if you're at 2,500 calories a day and you're not moving, dial your calories back. You know, if it were me in that situation, I would dial my proteins and my carbs and my fats back a little bit, and then go from there. Because once you hit that deficit, then you know you're gonna be good. When you're in a surplus, obviously you're gaining, and when you hit that maintenance level, you're gonna stay right where you're at. But it also depends on what you're doing too. If you're strictly doing it with diet, and you have extreme consistency in your day to day, you could probably dial it in pretty good. But if you don't, then it's going to be a little harder to dial it in, right? Let's say you have a job where 2 days you might be running like crazy, and then 3 days you're not doing anything, and you go based off those 3 days or whatever, and you end up having a week that's not very productive as far as movement. that might screw you up a little bit, you know. So you really just got to look at what your calorie in versus calorie out is. It's really that simple. It is. And everybody's worried about what the protein number is. I mean, you'll hear old school bodybuilders talk about 1.5 grams, 2 grams per pound. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. You don't need that much. One gram per pound of body weight. You can go a little bit over depending on the person. Some people can handle a lot more. But 1 gram is more than sufficient. I mean, there is countless studies out there that show it. Divide that into 4 meals, and that's 4 meals at my body weight breaks down to about 62.5 grams per meal. That is optimal for muscle building. Outside of that, if you're a 6-time-a-day eater, or let's just say you're somebody who can't get those meals in, right? That's when you start breaking into that supplement phase a little bit. Maybe add a protein shake so you can get that calorie in if you can't get that 4th meal.
I'm reading all these comments, man. We have some really good questions here. Guys, again, if I miss them, please just do them again. But Jason says, Vinny, serious question. What would you recommend for someone who wants to get into shape for the first time? Go to a gym, training class, or start at home?
See, that's a real good question. It's individually based, right? So the very first time I ever wanted to lose some weight, I was always overweight, and I was so against the gym, man. I felt like gym culture was, you had to be a meathead, you know, and if you weren't, you just couldn't go. So I started at home. Then when I went to a gym, I realized that's not what it's like. Nobody there gives a crap what you're doing, man.
At all.
So if you're somebody who's more comfortable at home, you can definitely, especially if you're a beginner, you can definitely start at home and make some great progress with not a lot of equipment. You can have a basic setup and do really, really well for yourself. Advanced, you know, then you're talking about having a pretty, a decent, a little bit more elaborate setup. You know, you're talking about really working up some space and getting some equipment. So if you don't want to really go down that road and make that kind of investment, obviously the gym's going to be your best bet. But don't overthink it. Don't worry about all these crazy body part splits and everything else. Start off, get yourself a basic routine. Make sure your nutrition is at least something that is a whole food based as possible, as clean as possible, but sustainable, right? If you all these crash diet crap, people come back and they put on 20 pounds more than they lost. Absolutely. Because it's just not sustainable. So it's just sustainable nutrition that's clean. Start moving. If you don't work out at all, start off at 3 days a week. Move yourself to 4 to 5. I wouldn't go more than 5 personally, but you know, that's just me. Some people go 6. Well, some people will go 7 until they just can't handle it and then take a day. Or some people, honestly, I know guys who have been really successful with training around their body. You know, they might train 4 days straight and then they'll take 2 days off, and then they'll train 3 days straight and take a day off, and et cetera, you know, and guys like that are the guys who kind of work their splits to make sure they're hitting every body part at least once a week.
It's great.
Which you can do pretty easily on most splits that are out there, you know, in a 3 or 4 day period.
All right. CrossFit. What do you think about it? Because you just said that, and then when I think of CrossFit, because I used to do it, I tried it for a couple of months to see what the whole rave was about, and it was, first of all, holy crap, it's intense. It really put a damper on how I used to lift, and now I'm a lot more. I don't put so much time in between, but again, I'm not trying to power lift like I used to. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they work every body part. I swear, legs every day, your shoulders every back, like everything. So what are your thoughts on that?
I am not a big fan of CrossFit. I think there's too many things in CrossFit that are extremely dangerous for somebody who is not already in the lifestyle.
Facts.
That being said, as a CrossFit athlete, you are in ridiculous shape. I mean, the people who do CrossFit, those guys work, and I mean, they work. And some of them are insanely strong. You know, I mean, I have nothing against CrossFit on a fitness level, right? From a fitness standpoint. I just don't think it's something that is recommended to start with, or even even if you're a novice lifter, I think you should be a seasoned lifter before you go into CrossFit. If you're going to really go into CrossFit, there's a lot of stuff in there I just don't like. I don't agree with.
Okay, guys, I'm getting to all your questions, I promise. So with CrossFit for me, when a person is out of shape and they're just starting, I feel like here's the gym mentality. I have to be as good as these guys are. And so you'll see a lot of guys hurt themselves trying to do like a power clean or something like that. And you're like, dude, you're not ready. Just do the bar. Get the. That's why I have to keep telling my son, who's 15, like I'm like, buddy, you're never going to outlift me right now. Like, it's physically impossible. Like, you are not going to go squat 405 pounds right now. But you know what you can do? You can do 95 perfectly. So do it perfectly, and the muscle and the weight will come. But if you keep doing it wrong, you're never going to grow muscle, man.
Right.
You're going to just hurt yourself in the long run. So it's good times. Sometimes you just want to smack him and it's just like, dude.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Get
off your high horse. Don't try to be everyone else. Just be yourself, and you'll progress.
And that, you know what? And that's something that a lot of people get into. You know, they and that's one of the things I was talking about with social media. You know, like I said, there is a lot of great stuff out there. A lot of really good content, really informative. You know, for people who are new to this, especially who don't know what certain lifts are or things like that, they can go on without having to worry about having a trainer and watch how, you know, to have good squat form or, you know, train this, train that, et cetera, et cetera. But there are so many just stupid people out there. You know, they come up with this, build a great chest in 30 days. Get out. Doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, guys. Stop trying to buy somebody's, you know, 6-week program that's going to change your whole life, because it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. This is a long game. And if you're not ready to do something that is sustainable, don't bother, because you're either going to hurt yourself, you're going to quit, you're going to go backwards, you know, or you're just going to spin your wheels, and it's going to kill your morale. It really is.
And I agree with Gary completely. A good gym, when he's talking about CrossFit, but also I think this is with anyone. If you have a good coach who's willing to train you and teach you and make sure you're not being a bonehead, then absolutely be okay. I totally agree with that. Also, sorry, I don't know why I'm talking about all this stuff. It's just on my mind because there's so much that my son is into right now that he works out with me, and you don't know, like, I love working out with my son.
Oh, I bet.
We've had some amazing conversations that I never would have had the opportunity to do. And the one thing, he looks at these guys in the magazine. He looks at his friends. They're huge, Dad. They're huge. Like, and how do I put this? Ronnie Coleman, Bill Heath, all these guys. They're like, they think, if I take steroids, I'll be that big. I'm like, no, buddy. First of all, no.
Nope.
These guys were massive to begin with, and they train them like crazy hard.
Mm-hmm.
Then with their doctor, they started doing it. It's scary if you were just to do it yourself. But now you got to
remember too, like,
and also, like, your tendons are already built, your ligaments are already built. If you were to do something now, first of all, your hormones will be crazy because you're 15. Like, I'm trying to teach all this stuff.
Way too young.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're not doing it. And it's just like, I told him, like, when I'm 80, I think I can do it then. But
you know what? I think that's one of the things that sucks about it being such a taboo thing for bodybuilders to talk about. Because, you know, you don't really realize a lot of these, especially the younger kids and stuff, you know, they just see these guys training on YouTube or something, and they're like, oh man, you know, on steroids, and they just go lift weights and whatever. And no, man, it doesn't work that way.
Coleman was a freaking beast before
not just that, but these guys, you know, they're looking at these guys when they're 20 years into training.
Yeah.
These guys have been training for 20 years. They're already genetic freaks, you know. I am definitely one who says, like, genetics are genetics are genetics, which is true to some degree. But that 0.01%, that's probably 0.0001% of difference between person A to person B is the difference in somebody being able to train like that, take those drugs, hyper respond to them and put on 20 pounds in a year versus the other guy who's going to put on, 5 if he's lucky. And you're going to deal with all the same side effects and all the same health issues and everything else, and you're never going to reach that goal. It's a really bad idea to get into that. If you have the genetics for it, you've been training, you have a solid foundation, you've been training 10, 15 years, you're already in your late 20s maybe, and you've reached your natural potential and you want to push further, that's going to be your life, then it's time to make that decision. But if you haven't even reached your natural potential, you shouldn't even be thinking about something like that.
Yeah, and if it's not your livelihood, why even think about it?
What's the point, right?
Yeah. So, but with Porter though, so he weighed 129 at the beginning of last month, and so in May, and then he weighed himself just a couple of days ago, and he weighs 131. I'm like, buddy, the way you're eating, because you're eating a lot like I am right now, which is healthy. You're also working out this. So this is like muscle, and like to gain 2 pounds of muscle in a month is huge.
That's insane.
I know. I'm like, that is huge.
That's insane.
And I'm like, you're going to be just okay. Like, he's like, but Dad, I'm not as big as my friends. It doesn't matter. Look at me. And I show him, I'm like, look at their dads. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, their dad is 5'10", and 180 pounds. I'm like, dude. All right, we have a couple more questions, but I have some more questions for you, but we'll go here. So Marvin wants to know, for a 61-year-old man, how many days a week would you recommend working out, and how do you feel about a full body workout?
I'm not against full body workouts, especially for people who are just trying to stay in some kind of shape, especially if you have time restraints and things like that. I'm not against full body workouts at all. I think like anything else, they have their place. If that's what you're doing, again, I don't know that I would necessarily go more than 3 days a week, but it also depends on how you eat too. Your calorie intake is how your body repairs itself. Food is what is building that muscle. Essentially, you're in the gym, you're breaking it all down. Whatever food intake you have, that's what's doing all the rebuilding, right? So if you're not eating enough to say work out 5 days a week, especially if you're doing full body workouts, it's just going to be counterproductive.
Next question. Nicholas Z asks, Vinny, what's a good whey protein powder to try?
I like the MRE from Redcon. It is an animal-based protein. I'm not a big fan of whey. Whey is fantastic if you can handle it. I have no problem with dairy or anything like that, but for some reason, whey protein, it just bloats me out. It doesn't like my stomach, and it's a milk byproduct. So,
do you have a website and I can put it down?
It's just Redcon 1. Actually, if you look at my IG, there's a code on there, 20%.
What's your code?
You would ask me that, right?
I really would.
It's sad. I don't even know what it is. It's on my IG, but I have no idea what it is.
Use his code. I'll just put that. So redcon1.com.
But yeah, they have different variations of it too. They have MRE, which it's a higher calorie, and then they have MRE Light, which is also it's animal based, but it's a lower calorie version of it.
And what's the flavoring like? Some people care.
I like the chocolate fudge brownie. I'm a chocolate freak. So,
dude, guess what my wife got me for Father's Day?
Say it again.
Guess what my wife got me for Father's Day?
What's that?
A ninja. What the crap? Now I just told you. Guess what it is? And I can't remember. A ninja smoothie, ninja creamy.
Oh, nice.
And so we're freezing a couple of protein shakes, and then I guess you put some sugar-free pudding in there. So I have vanilla with cheesecake pudding in there, sugar-free pudding, and then it melts it, and then I'm just going to add some strawberries and raspberries to it. So I'm a little excited for it.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm trying. Like I said. All right, yeah. So chocolate peanut butter. That actually sounds really good. All right. So Chris asks, why isn't the personal trainer paying rent? He's squatting. Oh, never mind. I don't know. I thought that was just a real question.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Here do I. I think. Do you do deadlifts?
Absolutely. That's my favorite lift. Hands down, that's my favorite lift.
Leslie,
I've literally heard. Look at. God. Thank you.
How do I?
And I will say this, right? So about that code, go on their site first, because a lot of times they have much better discount codes. Just like random stuff. It'll be like, oh, Father's Day, save 40%, or whatever else. So if they don't have one, cool, use it. Save yourself some money. I don't think I've ever even seen anything from it, but if it could save you a couple bucks, why not use it?
Okay. We are a beard and grooming company, man. So I do want to ask you one question. So what is the correlation between nutrition, hydration? Now, mind you, I have answers too, but I'm asking you because you're the expert. What's the correlation of nutrition, hydration, sleep to our outer appearance? Because a lot of people want to have a nice beard. They want to have a thick beard. They want to have nice, hydrated skin. They don't want to have chapped lips. They want to look awake. They don't want to have bags in their eyes. They want to look good.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, just
wrong. So, what are the correlations between all that?
It's legitimately in the question. I mean, if you think about it, right? So, your hydration, obviously, we're made up of a ton of water, right? So, if we're not hydrated, it's going to show in our skin. It's going to be dry, flaky, might chap. Same thing with your lips. If you're even dehydrated enough, you'll see it in your eyes. I mean, just
facts.
Your hair. I mean, it's literally, hydration is huge, but a lot of people are honestly underhydrated. Things like, it sounds silly, right? But you hear all these big crazes, right? About like Himalayan pink salt and that Celtic sea salt and stuff. There's a reason for that. It's 82 and 84 minerals versus our regular table salt, which is nowhere close, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're salting your food and you're thinking, oh, I'm getting X number of grams of sodium per day, it's not pulling into the cells, right? So you're drinking all this water, but you're not actually hydrating the way you think you are. So stuff like that is a huge game changer to add to your nutrition, right? So, and not just that.
What's a good electrolyte that they can put in their water, in your mind?
Say it again.
A good electrolyte that they can put in their water. What's a good one for you?
What is that? Exactly what I just said. Use them salts, and the water is going to pull into the cell. So
there's no specific electrolyte that you would recommend?
I don't use them.
Okay.
I don't use them. So I'm not a real big supplement guy. Supplements are exactly what they're called, right? They're to supplement something you're not getting in your diet. So if your diet is balanced enough, you really shouldn't need too many supplements. Are there a bunch of health supplements that I would say, sure, your omega-3s and things like that? I'd say I use a liver support, I use a kidney support, vitamin D, because I just don't seem to get enough of it. So I do use them, but not in that aspect, and especially not when you're talking about like all these different companies, when they're this pre-workout and this mass builder, whatever other stuff, people want to use. But I'm just not a real big fan. If anything outside of like a protein and essential amino acids, which is one of the most underrated things I think that's out there. It's just around training. I mean, think about like when you're training, right? If you could shove 60 grams of protein directly into the bloodstream, bypass the digestive system, sounds like a pretty good deal.
Absolutely.
Essential amino acids will do that. So, another problem with essential amino acids, though, they're typically underdosed, right? So like 7 grams, 10 grams is not enough. You need to be upwards of 20 grams. And like I said, it's like the equivalent of taking 60 grams in, but you get to bypass the digestive system. It's a free form amino acid. So
are you a fan of like intra workouts, like using Scivation or something like that then?
I do like them depending on what I'm doing. If I'm going to do like a really crazy heavy day and I don't feel like I've gotten enough food, I will actually use an intra carb, carb drink or whatever. But I'm not a real big fan of doing it strictly, and that's a personal thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I for some reason, even if I drank something that was just like flavored water, it just does not work for me. It's like instant indigestion. I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, Leslie. So is Leslie someone you train?
Yeah, no, so I did. She is a trainer herself.
Oh,
Very,
cool.
very intelligent woman. I trained her
She was
son for a
on
little
last
while.
time you were on the show with us.
Say it again.
She was on last time you were on the show with you, Mike, and yeah, I remember her popping on. So
yeah, and so BCAs are something that were like blown up, right? It's not that there's anything wrong with taking them, but again, I go back to the whole diet thing. Like if your nutrition's on point, you don't need them.
yeah, and EAAs.
EAAs are a different ballgame. They really are. Like I said, it's a free form amino acid. So when you take them around training, it is like I said, it's like being able to eat a high protein meal, right, and having it go directly in the bloodstream past the digestive system. You just there's not really any other way to do that.
Who do you follow on Instagram that teaches you a lot of this stuff? Anyone? Like, who are your go-to people that you'll listen to no matter what?
No, I don't think I get a lot of this stuff from Instagram, but I do follow quite a few YouTube channels that I really like.
Okay.
Renaissance, I think it's Renaissance Periodization is the name of the channel. Mike Israetel, I think is the guy's name.
Okay.
I think he is more of a science-based type of guy. I mean, like phenomenal shape bodybuilder type, whatever. But he looks into a lot of the science behind it, not just, my buddy down the street tried this and whatever else. And I think that's something that's lost on a lot of people, because anybody can market anything and make, millions of people buy into it. Right. But if you don't see any proof of it, there's no studies on it. How do you know?
Yeah.
So he's one that I definitely follow.
Do you follow Lane Norton?
No.
All right. Everything you were describing about him reminded me of Lane Norton as well. So
okay.
I follow him a lot, but I know he has 2 PhDs, and one of them is in like amino acids and it's like his doctorates, and so that's why I was asking you about the EAAs and what the differences are, and where can you find the EAAs and all that kind of stuff. Because right now he used to rep Scivation before he got kind of blew up, so that's how I knew who Scivation was.
Okay.
The company based out of there. But all right, best workouts for someone who's trying to bulk. I'm just good. I have more questions, but that's best workouts for someone who's just trying to put on muscle and mass.
It really comes down to your food, not your workouts. I mean, yes, your workouts do matter, of course, right? There's different variations of training. So whether you're training for strength or you want to train for size, hypertrophy training, your rep ranges and such are going to change, right? If you're training for power, you're not going to be doing sets of 10 of anything. You're lucky if you're hitting 5. When you're talking about hypertrophy training, you're talking about something totally different. Now you're talking about higher rep ranges, and there's ongoing argument how many sets versus how many reps for maximum muscle growth, and you can probably get 50 different answers from 50 different people. But I would say as long as you keep your rep ranges between 8 to 12, keep your weight relatively heavy, right? So when I say relatively heavy, I mean whatever heavy is to you, and you're not able to do, you hit your 12 reps and you're not able to do 6 more, then you're in the range you need to be in, right? You're not going to do much if you're going in there and you're 50 pounds under whatever you can bench for 12 or whatever exercise you're doing, just because you don't want to train really hard. So essentially, push yourself in the gym, train hard, but if you're ready to really put on size, you're going to have to eat for it.
Yep.
You want to get big, you got to eat big. There's no way around it. You have to be in a calorie surplus. And don't go eat McDonald's either, because that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Yeah, it's not a good calories. You got to eat good, healthy calories. All right. Is there a difference between working out for lean and losing weight?
Working out for lean?
Yeah, so like you're going on to just think of more of physique where you're going out in your board shorts and you're showing your 6-pack and all your rippedness, or someone who's just trying to lose weight. Is there a difference in working out and dieting?
If you're someone who's not concerned with lean mass, which I don't know why anybody wouldn't be. I mean, your lean tissue does so much more than just makes you look good without a shirt on. Then sure, if you're somebody who's just like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds for this event, and you don't care if you lose 10 pounds of quality lean tissue, then yeah, sure, you can just go do a whole bunch of cardio and not eat that much. But if you're smart, you'll keep weight training in there, and you'll train pretty much the same way.
Perfect. Gary wants to know, Vinny, I was told that staying no more than 70-80% of your max when lifting is ideal. True?
Well, again, what are you talking about? So you definitely shouldn't be going to the gym and trying to like PR every time you go there, because I don't care what you're training for, that's stupid. And if you're training for hypertrophy, well, then you shouldn't be worried about a PR anyways, because again, that's kind of stupid. But if you're somebody who is in advanced and you already know, like, let's just use a deadlift for an example. Your max deadlift. And what I usually do is I'll break it down. Like if I'm training for strength, or if I'm just training to put on some lean mass, I'll break it down. So if I'm training for lean mass, I want to keep lean mass, but I want to lose some size, right? Which is what I'm doing right now. I'll break it down into 8 weeks. So I'll start, let's say week 1 is I'm at 75% and I'm doing 4 sets of 10. Week 2, I might be at 80% and I'm doing, 7 sets of 4. I mean, it varies, but you should always stay up around a higher percentage. You don't ever want to be lifting and you're only lifting, 50%, 60% of what you're lifting, because it's, like I said, it's not going to do much unless you're just doing some crazy deal where you're trying to hit 50 reps of everything.
Okay. So I got this question and it kind of threw me for a loop because I never heard this before, and maybe you know. It was told to me that when you lift a certain body part, you should hit that body part 6 to 7 different lifts, 3 to 4 reps each. And I'm just like, what? He's like, yeah, if you really want to destroy that, you want to and build and tear that muscle down and hit every part of that, like your chest, like everything. You got it. And I'm like, dude, so you're telling me I got to do 24 to 32 sets to be able to hurt that? And I've never heard that before.
I never heard that before either. I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
If you looked at hypertrophy, in almost any study or science-based thing they've ever looked at, hypertrophy doesn't really even start until after 5 reps, right? So it kind of kills that whole thing right there.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing a set, you're waiting 10 seconds, then you're doing another set. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of strange.
No, the only thing I always knew is I'm going to hit my huge compound heavy lifts at the very beginning, and then if I need to work on the small stuff, then that's when I work on that. When I was doing
and that's typically your best bet, right? I mean, because your compound movements are usually going to be your big heavy movements and whatnot.
Yeah.
And there's no real reason, in my opinion, to pre-fatigue. If you're doing it, like if you're doing chest or something and you're going to do some mobility stuff for your shoulders first, that's a whole different ballgame, right? Now you're talking about injury prevention, but otherwise, yeah, that's I train the same way.
Yeah. All right. Leslie says, making sure you add a stretching routine daily will help in the soreness and allow the muscles to elongate and stay versus staying short. 100% agree. How long should someone be stretching? And do you stretch before or after or both?
Well, me personally, I don't ever stretch before I train. I warm up with whatever my lifts are. I'm not a fan of really stretching before you train. I think it's a bad idea. But there is variations of stretching too. So if you're talking about really stretching and like mobility type stuff, I mean, somebody like her, she could probably make an entire session out of it, right?
That's cool.
Myself, there's stretching when you're lifting as well, really stretching the fascia when you're training. So if you're going through a full rep range, a full range of motion in that rep, you're going to be getting stretched, like you're doing triceps or something like that. Or
dude,
back,
if you're doing straight leg deadlifts,
yeah, it really, it's a big thing, but I definitely think you should at least be warm before you lift. And some people would probably argue that as far as the stretching thing before you train. I don't think it's a good idea, especially if you're training heavy. If you're training really heavy, you're a power lifter, bad move. It's going to take away from your lift.
Oh, that's interesting. Lots of questions, man. Gary's throwing them out. I like it. Vinny, how often should one lift a failure? Back when I was lifting a lot, my coach had us do failure once a week.
I don't know if there's any real golden rule to lift into failure as far as how many times you should do it. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I don't think it's something that should be done often. Talking about lifting to true failure, like you're squatting and your last rep, somebody is racking it for you. Like, I don't think that's something that should be done often.
Yeah. I always mix everything up. My son's like, we haven't done this before. Why are we doing it this? Why don't we go back to that? I'm like, I'm always just trying to confuse the crap out of my body because I don't like plateaus. I always like to continue to build and just grow. Oh, dude, Gary, I really appreciate it because when you ask a question that I don't think about, that's a question that I have an answer for if I ever have that question for me personally. So I love it. Vinny, what exercises should you avoid if you have back issues?
Deadlifts would probably be a good one. I don't know if I would recommend it. And I only say that, right? I only say that because it's one that's really easy to mess up. You know, and now depending on what your back issues are, of course, there's a million different things you probably shouldn't do depending on what they are. But I mean, if you're talking about lower back, or if you're talking about if it's like a hip issue, or maybe it's just a muscle strain, if you have, you know, disc issues. I mean, there's a lot of different variances of what a back issue could be, but I know in my experience of all the back stuff that I really do, the one thing I would say that could be very easily detrimental to your lifting health is the deadlift.
Dude,
it's one that people tend to try to go too heavy on and mess themselves up on.
Facts. That's one that I keep telling my son to stop. So I lifted a couch one Sunday for my wife when she was trying to move the rug, and I just lifted it light, not even heavy. And I thought I couldn't get up for 30 minutes, and I had to use a walker the whole day. Like, I can't move. Like, I don't know, I can't move. And that was about 3 months ago. And I went to the chiropractor, and my hips went forward and my spine went over it.
Oh.
And then it curved this way. And basically, he adjusted it. It took him a couple of times. I had to go to a sports guy. And he's just like, hey, you can't go heavy for a while. You can go back to heavy, but you can definitely do it. But right now, you have a lot of damage, and your muscle is acting as it's like a support brace. It's like, so continue working, but just don't do what you're doing is hard and all that kind of stuff. But so deadlifts can mess you up.
Yeah, they really can. They really can.
But I love them.
It's one of those things that has been argued so many times, the risk versus reward thing. I am a huge fan. I think they are phenomenal in just about every way. But again, they are so easy to mess up. They just are.
You know, me, I went too heavy too fast again, getting back into it. Well, I think I caught up on all the questions. Is there any other questions here? How's your shoulder, man?
You know, it's the same. It doesn't, it definitely doesn't hurt as much. And I don't know if it's just some tissue repair over time, but I never did get my surgery or anything like that. And I still train pretty heavy, so. The last time I hadn't touched a log for, God, probably a year and a half. The last time I did it, I was able to put up 265. So,
wow.
I tore it on 300.
How wide are the handles?
Probably about just that shoulder.
And you could do it because that's usually pretty.
Yeah,
hey, man.
That's what I tore it on.
Yeah, your shoulder.
I tore it on a 300-pound log, and you know, that day I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna see how it feels. You know, I honestly, I got a new grip shirt, and I wanted to see. I'd never messed with one. I wanted to check it out. You know, started playing around a little bit, and it felt too good not to say to hell with it and do it.
No, that's cool. Like I told you, I tore my labrum in my shoulder from benching, and never took care of it. I went in for some sort of CAT scan or whatever, MRI, and they were going to put some dye in it, and they were having me read like the the risks and everything, and I was looking at them like 1 in 10,000 people die. I'm like, I'm good. I'll just
I'll be that one. No thanks.
yeah. I'm like, I'll just I don't need it, and I'm glad I didn't because it's totally fine now. It healed itself.
Yeah, I can still feel it. I still, if I lay a certain way, or if I don't have like a pillow propping my arm up when I go to sleep, or
Are you a
stuff like
side?
that.
Are you a side person? How do you
I'm
sleep?
not. I sleep on my back. Since my heart surgery, sleeping on my side is just not the same. Especially like I used to sleep on my right side, and I can't at all now. Like just laying on my right side, it is such a strange feeling. It's like I got my heart out of my chest when I'm like looking at it. It's the strangest feeling. I don't even know how to explain it. I can't even breathe right. It's so strange.
Yeah. So do you have to use too personal? Just tell me to shut up. You have to use sleep apnea for when you're on your back.
I do. Yeah.
For me, I would have to. If I'm on my back, I would have to.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how I am. I have to. Yeah. Okay. I got a 21-inch neck. It's.
Dude. It's like this thick as my thigh. It's so cool. I'm just joking. That would be sad, but
I'll tell you what, though, that thing is a lifesaver, man. That's it completely changed sleep for me.
See, I need to go in, but
I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't go in. I just ordered one online on Lofta.
Oh, there
you
go.
A little thing online. You click a couple buttons. Yeah, subscription, whatever, blah blah blah, and they sent it to me. That was that. I went on YouTube. I learned how to set it. Play with the settings and whatever else. It's super easy. I mean, I'm so slow when it comes to this stuff. If I can figure it out, anybody can.
Whatever. You're intelligent, man.
Yeah.
So, what's a good alternate for deadlift if his back is messed up and he shouldn't do deadlift?
Well, see, with the back thing again, it's rough to say. I mean, there's variations of deadlifts, right? There's Romanian deadlifts, there's stiff leg deadlifts. But for somebody like myself, I like the deadlift because you're really activating so much. So you don't necessarily need one move to counteract that. If you're hitting really good legs, good back, and there's some things. There's a ton of things you can do for the core, right? A lot of core work, and you're going to get just as good results as you are with the deadlift. I am just a very big fan of the deadlift, not only for the overall, but it's just one of my favorite lifts. I love doing it.
So what's that?
And every variation.
So I do this every back day, but I also do it during my leg day. It works my hamstrings really well. You lock your feet and you bend forward and you just kind of bend over and come up, and it's just your natural weight. Huh?
At the hip, or are you talking about like a Nordic curl?
At the hip.
Okay.
And if you keep your legs straight, it really works your glutes really, really well. And,
yeah. So the thing with those is your posture, right? You want to make sure your posture is good with that because it's great. Do
you hyperextend on those?
Say it again.
Do you want to hyperextend on those?
I don't think so. But it just, I know people would probably say different. If I'm going to do it, if I'm going to go for that, something like that, I'm going to do a reverse hyper, which is also something I think is phenomenal for the lower back and severely underutilized.
It's my favorite. Like, it makes my back feel so much better. I feel that's what gets me. But all right, question. Vinny, do you use an Atlas stone or Hosenfeld stones? Always love strongman movements.
I do. I use Atlas stones. And my Hosenfeld's actually metal. I don't have an actual stone like that. That would be super awesome. But I have a loadable metal one. Really, really, it's just awesome. It is super awesome. And I love Atlas stones. Atlas stones and the bags. I love sandbags too.
So Big Stu, this isn't a question, this is a comment, but I thought it was a really good comment for you. I haven't done heavy weights in a long time. I'm not sure how to figure out what weight is ideal to start with.
Start small. Start low. Do not try to go in there and get crazy because that's how people hurt themselves. People are so focused on what other people lift, and you have to remember your strength is relative. Okay, everybody is different. To one person, benching 315 might be like godlike, and to the next guy, it's like that's my warm up weight. It doesn't matter what any of those people think. It's just what you can lift. So if you're starting out from scratch, go in, start low. Start low on everything. Start with the bar. If the bar feels like it's moving great and you have your bar path is solid, you're ready to start adding weight, throw on some 25s. See how it feels. If that feels good, bump it up a little and just do it like that. That's the best way to not hurt yourself. And it is also the best way to get yourself familiar with that bar path and the proper form, and the form becomes second nature, right? But if you jump into it too fast, that form starts to break down, and then you're going to hurt yourself.
And also, especially when you get started, you might be able to, let's say you're doing bench and you're doing 45, so you're doing 135 all of a sudden, and you're feeling good about it. The next time you come in, I would still recommend starting at 95 or something like that, because especially when you're starting out, your body's crazy. It might depend on what you're eating the next day and all that, and it's just how you slept.
And not only that, don't beat yourself up if you go backwards one week. If you come in and you hit 135 for a set of 10, and then you come in the next time you're benching and 135 feels like a house, it happens. It happens. It could be your sleep, your nutrition. It could just be fatigue. Your body didn't recover fast enough. Maybe you didn't eat enough, or whatever the case is. It will happen. I promise you. Do not beat yourself up over it.
Dude. Vinny, fastest you've had your dope truck going?
Probably about 120.
What? You can drive that fast in somewhere in Texas?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
No, I only know I've been around there. I had to make a huge loop from Houston to San Antonio to Dallas once.
So the speed limit's 70, and if you're doing that, you're in the right lane because you're the slow guy. I'm serious.
I believe it.
People get angry at me in the morning if I'm in my company truck because I can't speed. It's GPS monitored for the speed, so I can only do 70 miles an hour. And I mean, people are just flying past me. They'll come up behind me and they're flashing their lights and honking. And I'm like, dude, I'm going the speed limit. I can't go any faster. It's crazy.
Leslie, she asked Roman chair. I think that's what they're called. Absolutely. Yeah. So when are you going to start competing? Are you going to?
It's not likely. I don't think I can without getting this fixed. And if I'm going to be honest, unless I tear it all the way, I don't think I'm going to get it fixed.
Okay.
Now I'll say this: that might change. I did order a competition log from Slater. It's a big 7-foot wooden, actual competition log. And I have a feeling when I get it, it's gonna make me want to do things, man. so I don't know, but as of right now, I don't have any plans on getting the shoulder surgery.
Okay. And so what's your plans with all this? Just to continue bettering yourself personally and coaching and learning, or what? Yeah. What's your plan?
Honestly, man, I love training. I love the idea of lifting, and when I train, especially when I lift heavy, when I do those heavy lifts, that's maybe it sounds cheesy, but that's my therapy. So
it's not. That's not cheesy at all.
Whatever's going on, all the craziness, it's just jumbled mess. My head sounds like a high school cafeteria, and just 24/7, right? But in that moment, I pick that weight up, and it takes everything I have, and when that weight goes back down, it is quiet. There's just nothing, and I have not found anything that compares to that, as far as just shutting all of that down. So that's really what I do it for. I mean, I just enjoy it.
No, I'm glad. We all need to find something that, as much as you enjoy lifting, everyone needs to find something they enjoy that much.
I agree.
But so Vato goes, never tried Redcon. Going to have to. So thank you for your code, man.
Yeah, and if you have sensitivity, I'll say, like, a lot of people have sensitivity to a wide variety of proteins. There is also one from FNX, which I use, which I also have a code for that I don't know. I think it's FNX, maybe VP15. but they have a collagen protein, and it's 4 different types of collagen.
Dude, my
I
wife
don't.
loves that.
Yeah, and to me, I don't think it's as good as an animal based protein. I just think, in my opinion, that is as good as it gets. But I would say as long as it's anything but a pea protein, you're probably good. So
Fun fact about animal protein. So I would do chicken, I would do fish, and I would do like steak and hamburger and stuff like that when I was bodybuilding. Only time I would ever get massive is when I started doing red meat. For some, I don't know.
You ever seen a buff chicken?
No, but you know what I mean, though? It's like my body just devoured the red meat, and it actually just like, and I was like,
everyone's body is going to respond that way to red meat versus chicken and fish. I mean, all the nutrients in it, for one. Like I said, you've never seen a buff chicken.
Never.
It's a different level. The problem is, for some people, they can't handle it. Their digestive doesn't
like
handle
that.
it. So, but when it comes to food, as far as protein sources and stuff, for me, hands down, clear choice is beef and eggs. I love eggs. I'll eat eggs all day, every day.
Facts.
I think it's just, an egg is a phenomenal food in my opinion. But people worry about dietary cholesterol, but dietary cholesterol doesn't affect everybody. So
Gary made me laugh. He's like, "Have you ever fought a chicken though?"
They're too fast for my fat. But
Vinny, do you use casein? I hate casein protein. I can never drink it fast enough before it gets all gurgle. Yes, I hate it. I know it's slow digesting, so better for nighttime and sleep. Curious if you use it.
Nope, I do not. I tried it back in the day. Was not a fan
At all, right?
I would wake up at 2 a.m. to take a shake before I would worry about taking something like that and get it through me.
Do you do cottage cheese? Because I love cottage cheese, but I can't do casein. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm just saying I didn't like it at all.
All right, another question, because I'm having all these questions. This is for me personally. I've heard so much positivity when it comes to the sauna. So when I go work out right now, so I'm working out, like I was telling you, I usually work out between an hour to an hour and a half a day in the gym. So when I'm done, though, I really do like to go to the sauna and spend 15 20 minutes. By then I'm just like, okay, this is miserable, I hate it. But for the first 10 15 minutes, it's amazing. Beneficial, not beneficial, too much to go every day? What are your thoughts on it?
I haven't used it. I never have. If I had my own, I probably would. But the idea of going in a gym sauna is disgusting to me.
Oh, dude, it's so gross.
Yeah. So I've never done it. I will speak from study standpoints that I've heard. It's great. I've also, to my understanding, for somebody who's trying to, let's say, get the most out of it from like the bodybuilding aspect, would be you're going to be your total sauna exposure, as hot as you can stand, is going to be about 2 hours, but it's all in one day. So it's like 30 minutes in, 10 minutes out, 30 minutes in, 10 minutes out. And it's supposed to be a massive GH spike. Really? Outside of that, I've heard a ton of good things about it, as far as, pulling toxins out of the body and for fat loss, not necessarily fat loss, but pulling water, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to help with fat loss, right? Because it's going to warm everything up, thermogenic effect and whatnot. But I've heard a lot of really good things about sauna use. But as far as, like I said, from a bodybuilding standpoint, that's the way to go.
I might have to try that like on a Saturday or Sunday when I'm not like.
And you're just going to do it once every 4 or 5 days. Don't go more than that. I'd probably even stretch it to 6.
Like I said, I'm in there 15 minutes. I'm like, this is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. So you want to be at least over 140 degrees.
Yeah, theirs is hot. Yeah, I have this iPhone, the i8 or whatever it is, and and it's when I get into the sauna, like my heart rate from working out and everything's like 118, 100 whatever. It'll like in 15, like I'm sitting doing nothing, and then 15 minutes into it, it's like 130. I'm like, dude, it's miserable. Thinks I'm working out still. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. This isn't one. I really went back to basics. Occasionally, I use pre and a couple of protein shakes a day, creatine, and call it a day. Of course, I don't have a goal other than I feel and look better. That's all that matters, man.
What he just said, though, creatine is something I didn't talk about earlier when I was talking about supplements I stand by. Creatine.
What kind of creatine and is it healthy for little children? Not little children, but like adolescents.
Talking about for your son? I mean, because pretty much creatine is creatine.
It's just red meat, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Monohydrate?
I'm not a fan of the whole like preloading and all that other stuff. Best bet, 10 grams a day. Be done with it.
Okay. And do you have a time frame where you need to get out of here? Because it's Father's Day.
Like 30 minutes ago, but it's okay.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, no, we're good though.
We'll get you out then. Cold plunging year.
100%. 110%. 110%. Now, I 100% disagree with the way people do it. Too many people go right. I mean, like as soon as they're done working out, which is so counterproductive. It doesn't make any sense. You want the inflammation. You don't want to go and jump right into a cold plunge and kill all the inflammation that you just worked on building up. But if you were to say do it in and out the sauna to the cold plunge, stuff like that is awesome from what I hear. Me personally, I like it about an hour after you train. Another thing that I haven't been brave enough to ever think about trying, but I hear it's amazing for your mental clarity, especially throughout the day and your energy levels, is to do it first thing in the morning. I'm not that brave. I'm not going to jump out there at 4 o'clock in the morning into 32-degree water. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. But it is phenomenal. I mean, when you do it, at least for me, I feel a ton better. And honestly, you don't even have to go to that extreme. If you were to get done with your shower, turn your water cold instead of sitting there for 5 minutes, you're going to feel positive effects as far as like blood pressure and things like that. You know, it's really, cold therapy is awesome.
I'm going to have to try it, man. Just even a cold shower, I've heard, is really good.
Yeah, and you can, man, you don't have to go spend $5,000 on some fancy thing. You can buy some of these $110, portable cold tubs. They're well insulated now. They got an insulated lid. You know, you initially might throw 20 pounds of ice in there, and the next 2 or 3 times you might only need a bag because it keeps it pretty cold.
If you eat a lot of beef, you probably don't need much, right? Talking about creatine.
I eat beef every day. My lunch every day is a bison sirloin. So, I mean, I do it every single day.
There you go. A cold shower in the morning is an alternate to the plunge. See, I love my hot shower. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but see, you can take your hot shower and just finish, 5 minutes or so, as cold as it'll go.
It's amazing for your beard too. I'm a wuss.
It really does make a difference, man.
That's cool. All right, let's get you out of here, man. I could talk to you seriously all day.
I know. That's why I was like, I'm good, man, because I enjoy stuff like this. I enjoy when people have questions and stuff, and having people in the chat who are knowledgeable as well. Just to kind of. I didn't really hear too many other opinions or nothing coming out, but I can't see the chat, so. But it's always fun. It's always fun.
We should do something maybe like this once every quarter, like one every 3 months, and just have a.
You already know I'm in.
Yeah, and then also just talk, man. We don't have to talk about this.
We can talk about anything. I don't care.
I know, right? It's just been a long time.
I'm sure we'll come back to this stuff, but I could talk about this all day.
Especially how I'm getting back into it again, and like seriously, like I'm back into it again when I'm working out in the middle of my lift. I'm starting to get chills. It hasn't been like that until I was doing like heavy like powerlifting stuff, like when I was doing the 1500 yoke walk. In the middle of that, when I was doing all that, I would get chills like crazy, and it's starting to come back. And I'm like, I showed my wife, and she's like,
"It's awesome.
Oh, so you're getting back into it, huh?"
Nice. There's nothing like when you hit that point of. I don't even think it's motivation at that point. It's something completely. It's like this whole new discipline
Euphoria.
comes over you. And it's just like I said, it just takes you to that place, you know?
No, it's just like, I have a lot of stress with the company. I don't have stress with I have wonderful children. I mean, of course they give me stress, but it's not like, oh no, but but everyone has stress in their life, and it really just, it lets you unwind. It gets you in a safe place. And then when you get home, you can talk with a clear heart, what is that show? Clear heart, clear minds, one heart, or whatever it is. Anyway, but it really, you can talk to your wife, you can talk to your kids, and not have any of that anxiety that you left work with. And I don't know, I love it that way. So one heart, one mind, can't lose. What is that show?
I have no idea. But to that point of what you were just talking about with stress and everything else, that's another thing I think people don't really think about. If you're one of these people who takes everything to heart, whether it's work, if you don't leave work and leave work at work, or you have a lot of stuff going on in your life and you're wondering why you're doing all this stuff and maybe you're not dropping weight as fast or your skin doesn't look as good, chances are if you're that stressed, you're not sleeping either. So both of those are factors in all of that. So check the basics before you go worrying about all kinds of the crazy stuff, man. And you really want to make it easy. I've said this before on a live with you, but track your food. Track your food, and you will blow your mind on how much you actually eat.
So I don't know if Ken is here or not, but I was talking to him about 75 hard when I was starting and everything, and that was the big thing with him too, is just track your food, food.
I mean, there's so many easy apps to use, free ones, and if you are diligent and you track everything, and I mean everything, you take a bite of something, your wife is eating something that maybe you shouldn't have, and you take a bite of it, put it in. There's something for everything in these apps. I don't care what it is. You can find a way to add it in there. And it doesn't take long. It only takes a couple minutes, and it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. I don't know if I've ever talked to anybody who said, oh yeah, I'm only eating 2,000 calories a day. And then they track their food and they haven't come back to me almost 500 or more calories a day than they thought they were eating.
Right.
That makes a huge
I love
difference.
candy. Like, I absolutely love lemon heads, and I love Sour Patch Kids, the watermelon kinds. Like, I could eat those all the time. And then I was eating them, and then all of a sudden I'm like, dude, that whole bag was pretty much everything I could eat the whole entire day.
Yeah. I'm that way with chocolate. I can eat anything chocolate, and I'll just keep going.
Yeah, it's true though. You really can. But I wanted to say one more thing, but I can't remember now. But yeah, I'm all pumped. I want to go work out right now. But yeah,
yes,
is that a white camo dime bag on the wall behind you?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
I got a dime V over here.
We're talking about mental health and how it's helped me working out and stuff like that. And I go to a therapist now. Everyone knows I'm not shy about it. I really do believe if you have any struggles, we all have struggles, just go to a therapist and just talk things out. Because it's zero judgment zone. They're going to help you no matter what. First thing he said, go work out. Because I was talking to him and I'm like, I miss it. I miss that the brotherhood that I had with the guys in the gym, and I miss talking, and I miss guys coming up to me. He's like, dude, how do you get this? What do you do this? I miss it. And he's like, go to the gym. So I started, and I'm like, it really does help.
It does, and there's different levels to it, right? So you're talking about the camaraderie of it and stuff, and for somebody like me, I train in my own gym, so
yeah,
there's never anybody in there with me when I'm training. But if
it stinks, it's you, so it's okay.
Yeah, but it's just your own stink doesn't bother you as bad,
And you live in Texas, so you don't need a sauna.
No, especially not these past couple days.
Dude, how hot? Like right now, it's 69 degrees. The warmest it got was 74 in June in Utah. It's the coldest winter.
The heat index today was 112.
Shut up.
So hot. When I was training, it was 112. Yesterday, the heat index when I was training, I think was 106.
Dude.
Yeah, you want to talk about pouring sweat?
Yeah.
And I'm in the garage. I don't have fans. I don't have none of that stuff. It's just open door and air.
Does your wife ever come work out with you?
No.
Or your kids?
No, that's not her thing.
Okay. What's her thing?
Say it again?
What's her thing?
Crocheting.
Oh, fun. Do you do that with her at all?
Say it again?
Do you do it with her at all?
No, no. I just sit next to her and watch her make cool stuff.
All right, last thing. What's your go-to movie that you want to see coming up?
John Wick 4. I haven't
All right.
watched it yet. I wasn't the biggest fan of the third one, but the first one is probably one of my all-time favorite action movies. So,
Dude, there's nothing like it.
huh?
There's nothing like it. There's nothing.
Oh, I
like
thought
it.
you said. I totally misunderstood what you said. I thought you said you didn't like it.
I might
I
be.
said we can't be
mumbling.
friends.
I apologize. Oh, see,
The romance almost ended right there.
No, it's on Amazon Prime. You can go rent it for I think $14 now.
Yep, I definitely need to.
It's
I need to get it.
Go do it now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If not now, when? Yeah, I'm going to take my family to go see Flash tomorrow, I think. So, but dude, appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, thanks for just being so lively and giving Vinny some amazing questions that helped me out and hopefully helped all you guys out. And if you guys need anything, Vinny, where can they find you?
Maybe you could just put my Instagram up there because I don't know what that is either. It's Wannabe Strongman, but there's things under there and I don't know where they're at.
Underscore, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's his IG, guys. So if you need,
you can check me out there. Obviously, I have YouTube, but I don't really post anything on there or anything like that.
Yeah, right. No, it's just I feel like everyone loves beards. That's why we're here, and that's why we're on this channel. I created this channel but at the same time, there's so much to grooming other than just taking care and putting beard oil in. Like, there's mental health, there's beard health. Working out helps your beard. So I really just enjoy stuff and learning stuff like this. So, dude, go have a wonderful night with your spouse and with your family. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know. I'm always here, man.
Oh man, likewise. You know that. Like I said, you're definitely one of my favorite people on the planet for sure. So
you too. One day we're gonna have to meet up because, like I said, we tried a little bit, just didn't work out.
Dude, we gotta get a training session together. We have to.
Next, Vegas. When you're not close to Vegas, so we're going to Vegas next month.
Do what?
We're going to Vegas next month. You should come.
Did you say this month?
Next month in July.
Oh, next month.
Vegas.
When?
Second week.
We'll talk.
Okay. After this broadcast, I'll tell you what's going on.
All right.
All right.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on though. And as far as all the people out there and just all the questions, all the chatting and everything else, man, super cool. Definitely appreciate all of you. Tyson, like I said, you're the man, brother. And I'm so down to do this whenever you are. Just let me know.
Awesome. And if you guys ever have questions, he also does personal training on the side, and he can do it via Zoom or FaceTime or anything like that. So hit him up. And have a good one, guys.